Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everything's going your way. Pardon the hair. Hey, this too shall pass. had a couple of questions about the health update. I was feeling very nasty last weekend, so I just kind of made a real quick command decision and said, nope, not this Sunday. I can't do it. But I'm back up to almost 100%. Voice is all right. The Great Shingles update, after not quite 9 months of struggling with this and battling with this, it's now manageable with ibuprofen. So I am tapering off of the medications I've been on for the last almost 9 months. It's going to be a while before I can get back into the shop, but I am a lot more clear-headed. Not quite ready to start doing videos again, but getting there. Thank you to everybody for being patient with me during this. Nobody has hated it more than I have, and I'm just glad everybody has stuck with me. And, you know, I've said it. I kind of got off of the bandwagon a bit and got off my soapbox a bit, but I will say this. If you are over 50 and you have had chicken pox, get the vaccine. You don't want this. You do not want this. Like I said, it's been almost a 9-month struggle, and I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Just, regardless about how you feel about vaccines in general, I'm here to tell you, you do not want this at all. So, hopefully 2026 is a hell of a lot better than 2025. It almost made us wish for 2020 back, and we all know what happened in 2020. So, anyhow, enough of that. Just thank you all for sticking with me. I truly, truly appreciate it. Today is an open Q&A. Bring your questions. Hopefully I've got an answer. But please realize that I don't know is a legitimate answer. I'll try to send you to the right people. But before we get into anything, I want to say hello and give a shout out to my friend Steve over at Harneal Media. Yeah, I know. I've been singing Steve praises since the beginning of all of this. This is 322 live streams that I've done on this channel every Sunday at noon, unless I'm feeling under the weather. And I'm going to keep singing his praises until he tells me to knock it off. He came close once, but we have not reached that point. Why do I keep doing it? Well, because I believe in Steve, and I believe in his business, and I believe in what he does. So I'm going to shout it from the rooftops. If you're even considering the idea of a website, if you're even toying with the idea of setting up a web store so that you can offer your products, your services, build a portfolio of the things that you make, the things that you do, the products or services you offer to the public at large, there is no better way to take control of your side business or your small business than with a website that you have complete and total control over. Now, Steve is a good person. I'm proud to call him a friend, but he's also very professional. He won't promise something he can't deliver, and you'd be amazed at the things that he can deliver. So if you're getting sick and tired of paying listing fees, of paying a commission that takes a big bite out of your price, if you're getting tired of seeing your competition posted on the same page that you're offering your products and services, then it's time to take control of your small business. And I can think of no better person to refer you to than Steve over at Harneal Media. It is 100% personalized service. When you're dealing with Harneal Media, you're dealing with Steve. And that's all there is to it. So do yourself a favor. Head over to harneomedia.com. Right there, there's a link in the description of this live stream and every video and live stream on this channel. And it's that way for a reason. Click that Contact Us link and shoot him a message. You'll be glad you did. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for everything you do. I appreciate you more than you will ever know. Okay, let's get into a few things here. We've got a couple of questions, a couple of good questions here. Man, let's see. I've got to scroll. Okay, there we go. Again, today is an open QA where you can ask any question that you'd like, and I will try to get you an answer. We've got a couple of great ones so far here. Laser Lounge Maker says, been trying to get a clear inside sharp corners doing MDF door panel designs. I create the clearing path and switch to a V-bit to get the corners dialed in, but it always looks off a little. Okay, this is a common thing. This is a common problem. And I'm going to refer you to one of the first CNC YouTubers I started following. His name is Peter Pasuelo. And let me get out my notepad here. Sorry, I should have been a little bit more prepared than I am. Oh, come on. Man, don't tell me I don't have a blank sheet that I can... There we go. I got a blank sheet I can write on. All right. Peter did a video a few years back. I will find a link to it as soon as we're finished here, and I will post that link in a pinned comment. It'll stay pinned at the top of all the comments. He did a video a few years back about checking your V-bits to make sure that the angle is true. And I'll give you an example here on using this V-bit. This is a CMT laser point 60-degree V-bit. When I say 60 degrees, remember that 60 degrees is a nominal measurement. The angle on this may not exactly be 60 degrees. It may be 59, it may be 58, it may be 62. Peter put together a file and for a 60 degree and a 90 degree V-bit, so you can test to see what that bit, the angle actually is, whether it overcuts or undercuts the sharp corner that you're trying to get. Now, when I saw that video, it was an epiphany. And Steve, proven everything I said about him. There's a link to that video right there. I'll link it in a pinned comment as soon as we're done. What I did when I saw that video was I went through and checked all of my 60 and 90 degree V-bits, and I wrote on the case for them if they were off. I had 2 that were right on, and then 3 that were off a little bit. One of them was supposed to be 60 degree. It was 58. Another one was supposed to be 90, and it was 91. So using that allowed me to fine tune, and I could create a separate entry for them in my tool database. Well, a few years have passed. I no longer have those bits. Everything I have so far, it has been true. But it's a great way to check your bits and make sure that you can adjust your entry in the tool database to reflect what the angle of that bit actually is. It's worth the time. It's not a long video. And again, he links the files in that video description. and it's uh, it's well worthwhile. Now, Eight Center says, I wouldn't be happy with anything 59 or anything 61. The CNCs they're using to cut these things, I expect very high tolerances, 60.1 or zero point 0.2 maybe. And when you can get when you get into something like Vortex Tool or Onsrud or something like that, they are ground to higher tolerance. But please remember that, for instance, CMT and Bosch and Speed Tool and all these other tool companies, they mass produce these by the thousands. So their tolerances are going to be a little bit looser than somebody like Vortex Tool, who does a few hundred versus a production run of thousands. And again, also remember that for most instances of V carving, if you're V carving for instance, a fleur de lis, 61 or 62 or 63 doesn't mean anything. It's not an issue. If you're doing a lot of square corners, it is an issue. So I'm not making excuses. I'm just talking about reality. If you get into the higher end tools, you're going to get finer tolerances. But when you're into $11, $12, $13 mass produced tools, you're not. This is compounded also when they, depending upon the machine that you're using them in, your CNC, your CNC may be capable of repeatability to within a millimeter or a thou, 1,000th of an inch, or let's say 1/8 of a millimeter. But what spindle are you using? Are you using a router? Your Makita router is never, the concentricity and the run out is never going to be as tight a tolerance as a spindle, be it water cooled or air cooled. So, you know, Butch Miller says it's hard to accept that with the price of bits, that they can be off by 2 degrees. And in general, I agree with you 100%. But also, again, let's take into consideration what we're buying. If we're not willing to spend 75 or 80 or $90 for a good quality bit or more, then you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. If you're spending 11 or 12 bucks on something from Amazon, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get 11 or $12 worth of accuracy. So, but knowing that, for instance, if now this was a 60-degree bit and it came out at 60 degrees, if it would have been 59 degrees, for example, I would just make another entry in my tool database, right on the label that this is a 59-degree bit, and use this as a 59-degree V bit. Now, I'm not excusing, what some would consider loose tolerances. It's just checking. It's trust but verify. And production runs of thousands of bits per day is different than a higher end bit that's made to tighter tolerances. So, Jeff Kilroy says, I had some V-carve issues until I realized my gears needed to be replaced. Avid, yeah. So it could be machine parts wear out. That's possible as well. That's something that I didn't know until I had already bought. Or until I already, got it, was that the rack and pinion system on the on all the on the X and Y axes, the rack and pinion system uses aluminum gears that run on steel tracks, and that aluminum is a fail-safe. It's also sacrificial. It is going to wear, and those wheels, those pinion gears need to be replaced after every so many hours because they will wear down. I didn't realize that. Knowing it now, if I start getting inaccuracies, that's something that I can look for. And there is a test for it. So, Kimberly Went says, how do you measure that angle? I'm about 5 minutes behind. Again, what I'm going to do, it was from a video that Peter Pasuelo did several years back. And it's how to measure the angle on your bits, on your V bits. And he gives a file, he gives a link to a file that you can go and download to measure 90-degree V bits and 60-degree V bits. And it's all right there for you. In one, there's a G code, or excuse me, not a G code. There's a Vectric CRV file for VCar Pro or Aspire, either one, where you can you just run generate the G code using your 60-degree V bit, and for example, and it will make several cuts. Then you get in with a straight edge and you look and you see which one matches best, which is the truest. Then you can, mark your bit, mark your case, whichever. Again, I will put a link to that video in a pinned comment as soon as we're done live here, and it'll stay at the top. It'll be the first comment after pinning. So let's see here. Maurice at Erickson Woodworking, quality of the G code, how the controller reacts to it. Is there CAM software generated smoothing or additional motion software adding smoothing, all effects tolerances added with bit angle? Yes, there are a lot of variables involved in this. Run out of your router or spindle is another part of it. There are a lot of things. It's one of those, and most of CNC troubleshooting is this way. It's divide and conquer. I always, always, always check the mechanical first. And that's because Windows updates notwithstanding, settings don't change themselves. You have to physically go in and change a setting. So I always check the mechanical first. And that's one of the first steps. If you can eliminate the angle of the bit as the problem, now we can get into other things. We can get into doing a test carve that creates a perfect square and a circle inside of that, and then a triangle inside of that. And then we're going to make sure that that square is actually square. Then we're going to make sure that circle is actually a circle and not an oval. Then we're going to check to make sure all three sides of that triangle are equal. And if it's not, now we got to get into calibrating the machine so that when the G code or your MDI commands tells the machine to move 1 inch, it moves an inch, not 1.1 inches or not 0.98 inches. Then we got to calibrate. There are a lot of things that you can do to divide and conquer, but I always check the mechanical first. So I hope that answers that. There was a lot deeper than I thought it was going to go, but yeah, there are a lot of variables in this. 8 Center says, I think us in the creative market just have higher tolerances in our mindset. True, 100% true, and I'm with you. We aren't going to pump out crap ourselves, so why should we put up with less than that when we buy parts? And again, in general, I agree with you 100%. But we also have to take our decisions into account in that if we're going to cheap out on the bits, how can we blame the bit that we decided on? And it's easy for me to spend other people's money. I know it's real easy. But if you do a lot of work with 90-degree V-bits or 60-degree V-bits, maybe it's time to check into some of the, I'm just going to throw a name out there because it's at the top of my head. Maybe it's time to check out some of the Amana V-bits that have the replaceable carbide cutters. those would tend to be a little bit more accurate and a little bit more consistent than even a CMT bit like this. So, and if you want, I'll go ahead and I'll link this CMT bit. I do like it, but it was, see, it's the CMT 858.001.11 laser point 60 degree V bit. And it's a good bit. It's a very good bit. And I'll go ahead and link it. Let's see here. Let me get into some of the other questions. And Butch Miller says, has Vectric ever considered the ability to create a single job sheet for a two-sided project? Or is it possible and I just don't know how? You know what? I was under the impression that it was a single job sheet, Brooks. I may be just kind of mistaken here. Whoops, you'd think I'd have. Wow, I'm sitting here treating this as like it's my first day, and it's my first day back, but what the heck. I was under the impression that it was. Let's take a look here. Let's change this to double-sided. Okay. And I'll just draw something here and close that. Now I'll switch sides and I'll just draw something here. Close. All right. I'm going to go over and I'm on the bottom side. Select that and I'll do a profile. Cut. 0.1. Don't know what this is. Don't care. I'm just doing a real quick and dirty toolpath here. All right, fine. Close. Switch over to the top. Select. Profile. 0.1. Same thing. Yada, 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 yada. Pardon me while I waffle on here. Close that. Now let's go up to toolpaths. I believe create job sheet. And I'm just going to put it on my desktop real quick. Save. Yes, I don't need that. So now I'll open my desktop folder. There we go. And yada, 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 yada. Wow. What did I call it? I don't remember what I called it. Man, I got a bunch of stuff here. Jiminy Christmas. Where'd I put it? New summary. There we go. And of course, it opened it in another side. Okay. No, it didn't. This is for one side. Okay. Tell you what. Let's suggest it. Let's suggest it. Yeah, I will ask in the beta forum, and let's suggest it. Let's get together and shoot Vectric shoot him a request, a feature request, and that's just simply the way to do it. Send him an email to support and make the title feature request to do a job sheet for a single job sheet for both sides. Now, I can understand the logic of wanting a separate job sheet for each side, but I'm all about options, and I believe you should have the option to have both of them on one sheet or as one job sheet. You know, maybe a check mark or something like that, or maybe have that as an option. So yeah. Okay, lots of people talking about breakfast and dinner and stuff like that. And then Rich Bratcher, has to pop in. And now you're just showing off. Barbecued ribeye steak for breakfast. Some people's kids. I tell you what. All right, let's see here. Ray Dixon says, I used a 30-degree V-bit, 0.125, the other day, that I could not go to the depth I wanted it at. What could be the problem? I was using the quick engrave toolpath. Let's see, the quick engrave toolpath. That might be the issue, but more than likely, Ray, more than likely what it is was, and I don't know that this is the case, but this is the most common answer to it. More than likely, the problem is the space in between the vectors where it's trying to carve. Something to remember is that if you use, well, you were using a quick engrave toolpath. Let me look at it. And I'll bring this back up to spotlight it. We're using the quick engrave toolpath. The quick engrave toolpath was generally made for use with like a diamond drag, although you can use a V-bit with it. You can even use end mills and ball noses and what have you. Basically, if what you're trying to do, whether it's a hatch or a cross hatch or just an outline or whatever, it's got to have room to get in there and plunge to the depth that you want. So if you're doing, say, a cross hatch, it might not be able to carve down to the depth you want, simply because it's got to make space. It's going to try to engrave, but engraving leaves a surface. This is hard to explain, but really, really easy to show. And not having a sample here, what I'm getting at is when it has to make a diagonal pass here and then another diagonal pass here, there may not be enough space between those two passes to allow it to go to the full depth. So, I have very limited experience with the quick engrave toolpath, and all of that experience is using a diamond drag bit. So I've not tried to use, I'm going to write myself a note that I need to get into that and check it out. So I don't have an answer for you right now, Ray, but I will get into it and hopefully have an answer for you sometime soon. There, okay, wrote myself a note. Remember, though, the software is going to try to get this. Let's see here. I was engraving the number 2.2 inches tall. Okay, well, when you're V carving, that matters. But when you're engraving and cross hatching, what I'm saying, let me go ahead and do this. Let me do that. There we go. And I'll use you said a 30-degree V-bit. Let me do a 30-degree V-bit. Select. And I don't know if you were doing a cross hatch. I don't know what you were trying to do. I'll just calculate it. And we're looking here at, that's the tool path. Okay. Let me preview it. Now, you get in here and you see that pattern. There's not enough space for it to go that deep. Because if it does, it's going to tear out and bleed into this pass. You see what I'm getting at? Now, let me go back into it here and make it something you were, I don't know, let's go with 0.1. I just wanted to go 0.1 deep. And we'll recalculate it. And we'll preview it. And we see what I'm getting into it. No cross hatching. It was 2 inches tall. Was it just the outline? Let's see here. Let me get back into it. Just an outline, no cross hatch. And calculate. And reset the preview. And preview it. Okay, now, this was 0.1 deep. And max depth is 0.1 deep. Okay, remember, that is max depth. Let me get down here into the nitty gritty. And it went 0.986. 0.1 is the max depth. It's going to do its best. And let me try again here. 0.996. 0.971. You get my point. It's the max depth. So, let me try something here, Ray. And let me go back into profile. And we're going to go on the vector 0.1 deep. And we're going to get that same V-bit. 30 degree. Select. We're going to go on the vector. And we're going to calculate. And now we're going to preview that. We'll get the same end result. But now, when I zoom in, come on, you can do it. 0.960, 0.949. We're getting about the same. We're getting about the same. Says the preview was perfect. When it cut out, it looked like 20 thou deep. Wow. I would try the profile tool path carving on the vector and see if that fixes it. I have limited experience with the quick engrave, but again, the quick engrave is you can use a V-bit with it, and I've seen people do it, but for just an outline for letters, I tend to use the profile. Now, you don't have to go on the vector, because remember that means the tip of the bit. Let me turn on the vectors here. That means the tip of the bit is going to be on the vector, so your outline is going to be a little over. If that's a problem, reset the preview, profile, go inside, and calculate. And now let's preview it and turn on the vectors, and now the cut is to the inside. I was trying for a depth of 0.25 inches. Okay, with that small bit, it should make several passes. Because if you have, all right, let's try it. And double click, profile 2, and we're going to go 0.25. All right. Let's see what happens here. Calculate. And again, remember, that's the max depth. I'm going to turn my tool path sideways. Yes, and it's going to do it in several passes. And we're going to preview, zip, And now we have a depth of 0.2506. Get down in the valley there, 2507. 2486. Yeah, it made several passes and did make the correction. But also notice no square corners, square outside corners. And that's just a limitation of the tool path. So, I don't know. I think for something like that, I would tend to go with either a profile or offset another vector inside and go for a V-carve toolpath to give you the square corners if that's what's important to you. Again, you were doing letters and what have you. But, you know, Rich Bratcher says that 30 degrees at 0.125 deep cuts 0.0671 wide. Okay, well, how about 0.25 deep? And that gives a ballpark for how much to offset that vector inwards if you want to use a V-carve toolpath. So it's just I tend to not use the quick engrave toolpath for something like this. But there are a lot of variables. Check your spindle and make sure it is low enough that that short bit will actually reach the depth you're trying to cut. Now, that may or may not be a factor. Any chance your job sheet is set to the wrong measures, millimeters instead of inches? I mean, I guess that's another variable to look at. It says it looks like it was 0.02 deep. Maybe there's a decimal in the wrong place. And instead of being 0.25, it was 0.025. I mean, stranger things have happened, you know. Ray says I ended up using the profile. Yeah, that's what I have always done. Let's see here. Maurice says, does VCarve Pro have options to control the level of tolerances and added smoothing options for a tool path? I know Fusion does. Unsure if Vectric has that capability. It does not give you options for smoothing. That's handled by the controller. But it does give you options. Let's see, reset preview, just because it's me. Close. It does give you options for tolerances down here in options. And let's see here. We get into tool path settings. 2D tool path tolerance right here. 3D tool path tolerance and V-carve tool path tolerance. You can adjust your tolerances right there. And it's less than half a thou is the tolerance. Now, I use inches. I use imperial. Some folks use metric. Half a thou of a millimeter is much smaller than half a thou of an inch. But it is fully functional. You can get in and you can change that tolerance if you want. I don't. I have never changed these tolerances. And in fact, they warn this should only be changed if your machine supplier has recommended a value. I don't know that you can make your tolerances too tight, but you can certainly make them too loose. I've never touched those tolerances. So, and again, that's under Edit, Options, and then down here to Toolpath Settings. And you have separate tolerances for 2D, 3D, and VCarve. So, all right. So, let's see here. Let me jump back over here and check on another question here. Ron Brockman says, hello, Mark. In the 3D roughing toolpath in the Z-level strategy, has a ramp plunge move option, but I don't see that in the 3D raster strategy. What am I missing? Okay, in the 3D roughing toolpath, boom, using the Z-level strategy, it has the option to ramp the plunge move. All right, so let's go to 3D raster, and that is grayed out for sure. Okay, 3D raster. I generally run Z level. 3D raster doesn't give you the option to ramp your plunge moves. Again, let's suggest that. I don't know why it doesn't. To answer your question, you're not missing anything. It's not an option. Let's suggest it. Let's do a feature request. Feature request. Ramp 3D raster. All right. Send an email, Vectric support, the subject, feature request, and ask for the ability to ramp the plunge moves on a 3D raster strategy. I don't think it's just the, no, you do not get any options on the, no matter which direction, you don't get those options on the 3D. And I know that on the 3D finishing toolpath, that's been a request for a while. I don't know what the issues are. I don't know why they haven't added that. I do know it's been asked for. I don't know if there's something within the program that doesn't allow it, but that is something to, it's a feature request. Let's ask for it. Let's see here. Mark Jensen, talk about the V-carve tool in the final pass option to reduce or eliminate the need for sanding. Okay, you will never eliminate the need for sanding. I have yet to have a project come off of the table that was finish ready. There will always be sanding. V-carve tool in a final pass option to reduce or eliminate the need for sanding. Basically, in a V-carve toolpath, something that I have done, as you can see, there is no listing here for the number of passes. All right. You can't get in and adjust the number of passes. You don't have control over that. Why? I'm not really sure. Something that I have found is that running the toolpath a second time, just once it's done, run it again. It will clean up a lot of issues. It will clean up a lot of stuff. But there are so many variables in there. V-bit angle, I'll get back to that again. Mounting technique, the wood or material you're using. There are a lot of variables. I find that by running that V-carve toolpath again, just run it a second time, it'll clean up a lot of issues. It's possible you're running the toolpath a little bit too fast. And watch your tool. The first few times I tested the Paradise box on some scrap plywood before I made it with the maple that I was going to use. It turns out I was running the toolpath too fast. And instead of giving the tool time to cut the wood fibers, it was trying to plow through the fibers. And that led to so many screwed up tests that I was really starting to pull my hair out. And it wasn't until a friend said, slow the tool path down. Give the tool time to cut. You're trying to force it through. That's when I started getting real good results. So, let's see. Is it in the V-carve toolpath an option that will perform a second pass at a couple of thousands? This is built into the tool set in the database. No. There are several that will give you the option, but what you need, and that's what I was talking about, in the V-carve toolpath, you don't have the ability to get in and edit the number of passes. If I get in, okay, 60-degree V-bit, let me get in here. You have a final pass step over, and you have a clearance pass step over, but not pass depth. Okay, your pass depth on this bit, in this case, is 1/8 of an inch. That tells the toolpath when it's calculating that it can plunge 1/8 of an inch deep. And that's all. So if it needs to go deeper than that, it'll make another pass. So let's see here. 8 Center says, a trick I use now, I set higher feed rate, then change it on the Masso when I'm running it to dial in the best speeds. And I do that as well I did that as well in Mach 3 and Mach 4, where you could adjust the speeds on the fly while it was cutting. And I'm with you, 8 Center, on that. That's a thing that I got used to doing. And simply because, for instance, I cut a lot of maple. I have had pieces of maple within the same 12 inch. I'm using my hands like you can see me. Within the same 12 inches, it'll have 2-3 different densities. And it'll get real soft at one end. Well, not real soft, but softer at one end, and then get progressively harder. And you can hear that tool. You can hear the spindle. You will soon develop an ear for when a bit is struggling, and being able to slow it down or speed it up. And it's just something that you have to do as you're learning the machine and learning a bit. Like I have my surfacing bit. It's a big 2-inch diameter surfacing bit. I have the feed rate set in the tool database at 180 inches per minute. But depending upon the material I'm surfacing, I've done some of them at 360 inches a minute. It just depends on the material, because the material is going to be the final arbiter on what the right speed and feed is. It's going to tell you what it wants to do. And if you try to get it to do something it doesn't want to do, it's going to tell you, not me. And you usually don't find that out until it's too late. Okay. Let's see here. Mark Jensen says, final pass step over will drive a smooth second cut. Used 2 to 3 mil, and hardwoods will reduce or eliminate smooth V carving. I mean, you can try it. But remember, that's step over. That is not depth. That's not plunge. Now, you can try it, but that's going to control the difference between clearance pass and then final pass. So try it. And if it works for you, excellent. Just letting you know that that's not depth, that's step over. If there's no step over in that tool path, it's irrelevant. So try it. Let's see here. Maurice Erickson Woodworking. Let me take a pause here. If you are not subscribed to Erickson Woodworking here on YouTube, number one, shame on you. Number two, get over there. Check it out. Maurice does some absolutely brilliant work. Um, I'm serious. Get over and check him out and subscribe, and then go binge watch. It's worth it. It's worth it. Believe me. Um, Setting higher speeds in CAM allows you to adjust higher if needed. In the motion software, CNC 12 limits to 100% override. Yes. So if you set your tool at 100, the max is 200 inches per minute. Easier to go back. Yes. The only thing to be careful about when you are setting feed rates on the fly, adjusting your speeds on the fly, is you're not only adjusting the feed rate, you're also adjusting the plunge rate. So just know that going in. You may get in trouble, especially if you have a bit that has a real fine tip on it. Like I've got some 15-degree V bits that the tip looks like a hypodermic needle. And you really got to be careful with those. I have snapped the tip off of one putting the dust boot on. And you look at it funny and it just ping. So be careful with adjusting feed rates on the fly. I got to claim ignorance and beg for a mea culpa here with this shingles thing. Over the past 9 months, I haven't been able to get in. I haven't been able to get into CNC 12 and actually use it because the medications I've been on, I haven't been able to use any machinery at all. So I'm a newbie at CNC 12, which is Centroid Acorn for Avid CNC. I haven't been able to get into it. I know Mach 3, when you increased, it would go 10% each increase, and you could go a maximum of 300%. Mach 4, it was 25%. That was the default, but you could get in and change it. You could get in and reduce it if you want to, but the default was 25%. Be careful with that. That's all, just be careful with that. Just know it going in. And yes, Steve, once again, there's Maurice's YouTube channel. Again, I'll put that in the pinned comment at the top, along with Peter's video, as soon as we're done live here. Okay, hide. Mark says, we'll have to send you a note. This is what I've been using and teaching for years. The V-Carve toolpath will leave a final pass step over up from the finished project. Okay, all right. I'll dig into it a little bit deeper. I am not an expert. I am not a know-it-all. I know my setup, new software notwithstanding, and that's all I know. I've only been doing this 10 years. There are people that can run circles around me. The only difference between them and me is I'm not afraid to make mistakes in public. I've been married twice. I've got 5 kids and 7 grandkids. Nobody can embarrass me, all right? So, all right, let's see here. Saw a nice vid the other day, a leather button-up tray the guy uses to place under bits when doing bit changes, okay? Done with a donut drag knife, a wise project. Yes, I will agree with that 100%. Protect your bits. What I did, and this is because I'm Scottish, I'm cheap. I got an old nasty mouse pad that I was fixing to throw out. And I put it underneath the bit when I go to change it. Well, one of my channel members, who I don't think is here today, you know who you are, Ellen. One of my channel members saw that. that I was using a mouse pad underneath my bit to, if it drops, because people drop stuff, especially me. So I was putting a mouse pad underneath the bit when I do the changes. Ellen saw that that's what I was doing and sent me this. So now this is what appears in my videos. It goes underneath the bit when I change my when I do a bit change, and it works. It's a nice thick mouse pad too, about a 1/4 inch thick neoprene. So just let's see. 8 Center says foam from your last Amazon pack. Ooh. Let's not talk about Amazon packages. I just got into 3D printing. There's supposed to be a package delivered pretty soon. New filament. So yeah, Amazon, they have our address on their equivalent of speed dial. This too shall pass. Okay. All right. So what I am going to do, I've got 2 feature requests here to ask for. I've got a link to Peter Pasuelo's VBit, or excuse me, check your VBit video, and a link to Maurice at Erickson Design and Woodworking, a link to his channel I'm going to put in a pinned comment. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because I hear voices outside. I have visitors from out of town that are stopping by on their way to the airport. So I have to go say hello. I apologize for cutting this short. How's it going with the printer? I've got 2 projects under my belt so far. Both came out very nice. What can I say? It's a new world. I feel like a beginner, like I did when I first got into CNC, mainly because I'm learning slicers and I'm learning new parametric design software. Free cat. Hashtag not sponsored. And I'm a noob again. Let's see. First of all, thank you very much for sticking with me. Again, I apologize for missing last week. If you're hearing voices, you need to take a break. Took a break last week, and I'm still hearing voices, and you're just jealous that they're only talking to me. Did Garrett come visit you? No, we're going to have dinner on Tuesday, the 20th. Channel members, tomorrow, members only live stream. We're going to get back into some of the basics. We're going to get into some essential skills. We're going to get into bitmap tracing and node editing. And we're going to focus on when either or is appropriate and when they're not appropriate, and maybe combining the 2 or 3. Again, that's tomorrow, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. Check the posts or memberships tab on my YouTube channel. You'll find the link there. Next Sunday, I hope to have a better topic in mind, and it won't be open Q&A, I hope. Don't hold me to that. Things are getting better. Thank you for sticking with me throughout this. And let's hope like crazy that 2026 is better for all of us than 2025 was. So thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. I'll get these links posted as ASAP. For now, y'all take care. Thank you.